This isn't gonna work well.
It's fun.
Hey, welcome to It's My Railroad and the conclusion of our concrete tunnel portal project. I made this from a foam core base. I used real pictures of concrete walls for the veneer, added some paint, some weathering, and at the end, I think it came out looking really awesome. In part one of this series, I showed you how I marked out the foam core, cut it out, and glued it together. In part two, I showed you how I took some pictures of real concrete walls, put them into Photoshop, and then made this awesome veneer. In this conclusion, we'll put all of that together. So let's get started right now. I started again with a very sharp X-Acto knife blade. I placed it up against the metal straight edge and then cut it out. I tried to get everything just as straight and square as possible, but as we're going to see a little bit later on, something went sideways somewhere and I had to make a few adjustments, but nothing we couldn't overcome. Next, I took the tunnel portal base and laid it down on top of the veneer and then used it as a template to cut out the opening. To glue the veneer down to the foam core, I used this Scotch spray mount repositional adhesive, which was good news and bad news. Good news is it gave me some working time to get everything positioned. Bad news is it didn't quite stick the way it should have, and that was one more challenge we had to overcome later on. I used this little squeegee tool to press the veneer right into the corner where the wing wall meets the face of the retaining wall. It made a nice sharp turn there and looks pretty realistic if you don't look too close. With the veneer glued to the foam core, now we can see that I did something wrong somewhere. It doesn't quite line up, but I have a way that I fixed that as we move forward. Basically, I just lopped off the top of the wing walls and then cut a straight edge across the top. And if anybody ever asks, I meant to do that. So there you go. Next, I just went through and sliced off the veneer to line up with the top of the wing wall. And then after just some cleaning up and some fine tuning, I was able to start putting the veneer on the top of the tunnel portal opening and down the tops of the wing walls and then the face of that little part at the bottom there. To get rid of the part that hangs over, I just took a pair of small craft scissors and just cut it off. I wasn't really worried about a straight edge because that part's going to be buried back in the scenery someday when we finally install the tunnel portal on the layout. Then to finish off the veneer for the tunnel portal, I took some small strips of the veneer we made and just glued it to the inside of the opening. Well, there it is with the veneer glued down to all the faces of the tunnel portal that we're going to see. And it's ready for painting and weathering and it's looking real good so far. But there's one more thing I want to do before we start wrapping this up. From the vantage point of somebody looking at this tunnel portal after it's installed, you'll be able to see the cardboard through the opening, and that doesn't work for me. So I took some small pieces of the veneer, cut them out, and glued them to the inside of the tunnel portal back far enough where you can't really see the cardboard beyond there. To tell you the truth, I'm really stoked about the way this looks inside the tunnel portal. I sort of took a chance, I had a vision, and I just went for it. Looks really good, and now it's time for painting. I used this Craft Smart gray acrylic paint to touch up all the edges where the veneer doesn't quite cover the foam core. It's close enough to concrete color and blend it in really well. I used this small paintbrush and gently painted down all of the seams. Occasionally, where the veneer was bubbling up a little bit, I just used my finger and pushed it back down on there, smoothed out the edge, looks really good. To seal everything up, keep it from fading, and that sort of thing, I used Krylon Low Odor Clear Finish Matte Spray. In addition to sealing up the work we've just done, it also adds sort of a roughened finish to the tunnel portal veneer, which makes it better for weathering down the road. Now, the matte finish actually produced some bubbles here and there in the veneer that I was able to work out with my little squeegee tool. Didn't get rid of all of it though, because it helps add a three-dimensional look to the veneer. To get the weathering done, I again returned to Craft Smart acrylic paint. I used black and brown, and I started inside the tunnel portal first to experiment, just in case it didn't go well. But I used a dry brush technique, gently painted along on the inside of there, and it really picked up the roughness left by the matte finish and seemed to go really well. For the outside, I started with dry brushing the brown on first to help diminish that pristine concrete look and to sort of dirty it up before we put the black on. Then using a combination of the brown and the black and just eyeballing the dry brushing as I went along, I was able to achieve an effect that I'm very happy with. Well, there you go. That is the finished concrete tunnel portal we made from foam core, veneer made from real pictures processed through Photoshop, and some weathering paints to make it look like this tunnel portal has been sitting here since 1963 in a damp environment. I hope you've enjoyed this little mini series as much as I enjoyed doing it. Make sure you share this video with someone, make sure you like it and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, my name is Steve Brown. Rail on, my friends.